You might think that we have always had the luxury of being able to post a letter and those all-important birthday cards to friends and loved ones. Well, think again. Not to mention that all you philatelists out there would have nothing to collect were it not for the Victorians. The very first licky, sticky postage stamp size thing was the invention of a teacher, Mr. Rowland Hill, and was introduced the year I acceded the throne, 1837, for those who don't know what that year was. And guess whose silhouette was the first to adorn it? Do you need a clue? Can you see it now? Sadly, we can't claim the concept of a postal service. A post office of sorts has been around for a very long time. We can trace the origins to the 16th century, during the reign of Henry VIII. We know from the records that Sir Brian Tuke had been appointed as the Master of the King's Post on February 1512, as he was paid a very generous £100 for his trouble. That equates to £111,000 today. Over this time, this position became Postmaster General, a role which continued until it was abolished in the 20th century. Under the 16th century postal service, each town had to have 3 horses available to transport royal letters and report news back to the court. In large towns, a special stable was maintained and known as the post, always to be ready to carry mail at a moment's notice. The post is the name for the mail service we still use today. This early postal service was very much the preserve of the elite in society, the wealthy. The common folk simply could not afford such a frivolity. Charles I changed all that in the 1600s, introducing a system that could be available to all. But unlike your system today, it was the recipient and not the sender who bore the cost of carriage. Not ideal if you didn't really want to hear from someone. It was Oliver Cromwell who granted the Office of Postage the rights to all postal delivery services in England, including fixing postal rates. Still, it wasn't until 1660 that Charles II formally launched the General Post Office, establishing a state-operated service throughout England. A year later came the appointment of the first Postmaster General and the introduction of the postage date stamp. By the late 18th century, mail coaches were running between London and Bristol regularly. To begin with, they were repurposed passenger carriages, but were soon purpose-built for the task and liveried in red, becoming easily recognisable as the Post Office. It was also decided that postmen should wear a corporate uniform. With the Industrial Revolution came the expansion of steam, and the first mail train appeared in 1830, travelling between Manchester and Liverpool. The post office services began to emerge. Money orders were introduced in 1838, and 2 years later, the highly desirable penny black stamp. This enabled people to send a letter for the standard rate of 1 penny. A postcard was even better. If it was placed within an unsealed envelope, it could be delivered for just half a penny. This opened the world to the masses. So, will you be taking part in the new trend? Albert and I so enjoy sending and receiving Christmas cards. We will not be amused if we don't receive yours.